3 seconds ago, every bird in your yard went silent. Not fewer birds, not quieter, silent. The feeder empty, the branches still, the robin that was crossing the lawn gone, the chickadee working through the sunflower seeds gone. The whole yard in the space of a single breath became a different place. You looked up, saw nothing, went back to what you were doing. That was a mistake, not because there was danger to you, but because what just happened was not random. It was not birds being birds. It was a broadcast, a specific information-dense signal produced by a coordinated network that has been refining its communication system for 50 million years. And it was aimed in part at you. Most people hear birds sound the way they hear traffic background texture, present and then not present. They notice the silence but do not read it. They register the alarm but do not understand it. They watch the feeder empty in 2 seconds, think hawk, and stop there. What if the birds in your yard are running one of the most sophisticated early warning systems in the natural world? That the sounds they make carry specific, structured, decodable information about what kind of threat is present, how serious it is, how far away it is, and what the appropriate response is. That this system operates across species. That the chick's call is understood by the nuthatch, the titmouse, the junco, the sparrow, and that you, if you know what to listen for, are also a recipient of that broadcast. Most people spend years watching birds without learning a single word of what they are saying. That ends today. Known by birds. If you are new, 1 second, subscribe before we go further. Now back to the silence. Your yard is not a collection of individual birds. It is a node in a communication network that extends across your entire neighborhood, running 24 hours a day whether you are paying attention or not. Every bird in that network is simultaneously a sensor, a broadcaster, and a receiver, gathering information from its environment, processing it against everything it already knows about your specific yard, your specific street, the specific humans and animals that move through it regularly, and sharing that information constantly in real time with every other member of the network within earshot. Researchers call this heterospecific eavesdropping, the deliberate monitoring of other species' signals to extract environmental information. And in your yard, it runs in every direction at once. The blue jet detects something. The chickadee responds to the jay. The nuthatches respond to the chickadee. The sparrows on the ground respond to the nuthatches. The whole cascade completes in less time than it takes you to look up. But here's what most people miss. This is not just noise. This is language, and it has grammar. The black-capped chickadee has one of the most studied vocal systems of any animal on Earth. The more researchers have examined it, the more it has revealed itself to be not just complex, but precise. In 2005, Christopher Templeton, Eric Green, and Kate Davis published a study in Science, not a bird journal, Science, that permanently changed how researchers think about animal communication. They recorded over 5,000 chickadee alarm calls in response to 15 different live predators. And here is what they found. The chickadee does not produce one alarm call. It produces a family of calls with internal structure that encodes specific information about the threat. First, the seat. Soft, thin, high-pitched, almost impossible to locate by direction. This call is produced in response to a flying raptor. It means aerial threat. Phrase, do not move. Do not make a sound that reveals your position. The call is designed to be unlistenable, because producing it carries risk. The bird is whispering, so the hawk cannot triangulate the source. Then there is the chickadee call, the one you have heard 10,000 times and never fully decoded. The number of D notes at the end is not random. It encodes the threat level of the predator, specifically its size and maneuverability. Small, agile, fast-moving predator, a pygmy owl, a sharp-shinned hawk, something that can follow a small bird into dense cover at speed. This gets the highest D count. Templeton's team recorded up to 23 D notes in response to a northern pygmy owl, because the pygmy owl is the most dangerous predator a chickadee faces, small enough to enter cover, fast enough to catch them in flight. A great horned owl gets fewer Ds because the great horned owl is massive and slow in dense vegetation. The appropriate response is not panic. It's organized mobbing. Go toward it, make noise, recruit the neighborhood, drive it away. The chickadee is not just saying predator. It's saying what kind, what size, what capability, and implicitly what to do about it, and every bird within earshot reads that call and responds accordingly. Not just other chickadees. Your yard is running this right now. The blue jay holds a specific role in your yard's information system. Loudest alarm broadcaster in almost every eastern North American backyard. When a jay screams, that descending, piercing call that cuts through everything, every bird in your yard goes silent within approximately 2 seconds. No verification required. The jay's historical accuracy has earned it unconditional trust from the rest of the network. But the blue jay also produces another sound worth your attention. It mimics red-tailed hawks and Cooper's hawks almost perfectly. For years, this was interpreted as accidental, a bird producing sounds that resembled raptors by chance. The current behavioral interpretation is more interesting. Blue jays use hawk mimic recalls to clear competitors from feeders. They call in the hawk voice. Every bird flushes. The jay moves in alone. You have almost certainly watched this happen without knowing what you were seeing. The feet are emptied for no apparent reason. Nothing in the sky, the jay already on the perch. The information network in your yard runs honest signals most of the time, but it also runs on occasion deliberate misinformation. And the birds downstream of that signal, the chickadees, the sparrows, the finches, have no reliable way to verify the source before responding. Neither have you until now. Back to that silence. 3 seconds. Every bird gone. There are several things that produce that response, and they are not the same thing. A flying raptor produces the most complete and immediate silence. The seat call travels through the network faster than the hawk moves. By the time the hawk crosses your feeder, the birds have been gone for 3 seconds. The hawk sees an empty feeder. The system worked. A perched raptor produces a different response. Not silence. Mobbing. If you hear a sudden increase in chickadee calling, a gathering of small birds moving toward the same tree, agitated and vocal, there is almost certainly a perched predator in or near that tree. The birds are not fleeing. They are coordinating an eviction. And it works. Researchers have documented owls and hawks driven from perches by organized mobbing from birds a fraction of their size. A ground predator, a cat, a fox, a dog produces a third pattern. Alarm calls from ground-level birds first, robins, toasts, juncos. Then the cascade moves upward. The response is different because the threat geometry is different. A ground predator cannot follow a bird into the air. The appropriate response is vertical, not frozen. And then there is the silence that has nothing to do with predators at all. The disturbance silence, when something unfamiliar enters the yard, a new object, a sudden movement, a sound outside the normal pattern. The network goes quiet while it processes. This is not fear. This is attention. The birds gathering information before deciding how to categorize what they detected. You moving suddenly at the kitchen window, a car door, your neighbor starting a lawnmower. All of these produce brief silences as the network updates its assessment. The difference between these silences is readable once you know what to look for. Predator silence lasts longer. The network waits for confirmation the threat has passed before resuming. Strident silence resolves within 30 to 60 seconds. Pay attention to how long the silence lasts. That alone tells you which kind you are looking at. Stay with me here because this changes the scale of everything. The warning network in your yard does not stop at the property line, and it does not stop at dusk. On peak migration nights, late April, May, September, October, the sky above your house fills with birds, millions of them moving north or south depending on the season at altitudes between 1,000 and 3,000 feet, calling to each other in complete darkness. These are called flight calls, brief high-pitched notes produced by migrating birds during nocturnal flight to maintain flock cohesion in the dark. Species-specific. This courting device placed in your yard on a clear migration night can identify dozens of species passing overhead without a single bird visible. On September 18, 2023, Birdcast estimated over 400 million birds in flight across the eastern United States in a single night, and when those birds descend at dawn, exhausted, fuel-depleted, needing to land, they come down into the first available habitat. Your yard may be that habitat on certain mornings in May. The birds that drop into your hedges and maples on those mornings are not your local birds. Our visitors from hundreds of miles south, carrying alarm calls and behavioral patterns calibrated to completely different environments, suddenly integrated into your yard's network for a few hours before they continue north. On those mornings, your yard's information system is running with unfamiliar voices. Your chickies encounter alarm calls and dialects they have never heard. The network processes, adapts. By noon, those birds are gone, but the morning had a texture unlike any other, and most people who stood outside in it had no idea what was moving through. The question is not whether this is happening. It is tonight. Tomorrow morning, every morning you have ever walked into your yard. The question is whether you are going to keep treating it as background. Start with one thing. Next time your feet are empty suddenly, do not look first. Listen. If you hear a seat, thin, high, almost inaudible, it was aerial. Something in the air. If you hear chickadee calls escalating in intensity and a gathering of small birds moving toward the same tree, something is perched nearby, and the network is mobilizing to remove it. If you hear the robins custed, something is on the ground within 30 m of that bird right now. Do that for 2 weeks. Just listen before you look. You will start hearing things you have been filtering out for years. The soft contact calls between juncos that mean everything is fine. The sudden cessation of those calls that means something changed. The difference between a yard that sounds settled and a yard running on alert. Your yard has been talking the entire time. The vocabulary is learnable. It requires attention more than knowledge, and once you hear it, really hear it, you will not be able to unhear it. Tell me in the comments what you have noticed. A silence you couldn't explain? An alarm that led you somewhere unexpected? A moment where you read the birds correctly and understood what they were telling you? I read everyone. I will see you in the next